275. Family Law. Chalcedon Report number 184, December 1980. A major area of revolution in law has been family law. The family has been redefined to eliminate the biblical meaning of the family by degrees, and the process is well underway. We are told that the family in law must include the voluntary family, and sociologists are among those promoting this new definition. The voluntary quote-unquote family can be homosexuals or lesbians living together, or a group of runaway youths sharing quarters, or a sexual commune. By being voluntary, such a quote family end quote is held to be morally superior to the biblical family, which is quote coercive end quote. The quote coercive end quote family is the target of more and more abuse, legislation and regulation, whereas the quote voluntary end quote family is quietly being accorded status. For years now, we have been told of the need for legislation to control child abuse. Child abuse is an ugly fact, and a symptom of a lawless and godless society and of people without love or faith. However, we have long had more than enough laws to cover cases of child abuse. The problem has not been a lack of legislation. In fact, the proposed laws move rather in the direction of statist controls over all families, not the correction of an evil, but the imposition of a greater one. Moreover, in all the newspaper and political talk about child abuse, the central and growing term thereof is rarely ever mentioned, discussed, or condemned. The traditional family is the target, whereas this new, deadly and rapidly growing form of child abuse is outside the family. It is the sexual exploitation of young boys and girls by homosexuals and lesbians. This practice is, in fact, being promoted as a sexual right by many and is called, quote, intergenerational sex, end quote. One advocate is a nationally known writer. Child abuse of the worst and most prevalent sort is thus being made a right and a needed freedom. On occasion, some macabre murder cases have come to light, the murder of a number of boys by some homosexual. We then see a glimpse of the sordid world of homosexual child abuse. What we do not see on the part of these humanistic reformers is any concern about this particularly vicious form of child abuse, the sexual exploitation of children by homosexuals. There is a reason for this unconcern. Humanism has no desire to uphold, defend, or maintain the biblical standard of law and morality. The world it envisions is free from God and His law, and from the Christian family. The present direction of statist, quote, concern, end quote, for the family should arouse Christians to action. Our faith, after all, sees the family as God's basic form of government, not the church nor the state. Moreover, the Bible is most revealing as an anti-statist document in these and other matters. It tells us, for example, of Pharaoh and the Egyptian state and their planned extermination of the Hebrew children. The greatest condemnation is reserved for Moloch worship, king or state worship, which required the dedication of all children to the state and their possible sacrifice to the state's welfare. We see Babylon seizing all superior children, such as Daniel, separating them from their families to rear them as civil servants. Supremely, of course, we see Herod slaughtering all the children of Bethlehem up to 2 years of age in his effort to kill the Christ child. The Bible gives us every reason to be suspicious of the state, especially when it professes a concern for our children. Add to that, quote, concern, end quote, a humanism which is anti-Christian through and through, and it becomes sinful to be indifferent to Caesar's usurpations. The tragic fact is that many families are not only unbelieving, but evil in their care and rearing of children. The state is no better, and its record of custodial care is even worse, so that the failures of bad parents are compounded by a supposedly beneficent state. It is a very serious error to believe that problems have solutions outside of Christ. All around us, we see statist and humanistic solutions routinely aggravating problems. I once heard a humanistic high school teacher say to his students who intended to leave a blank space for a question he could not answer, "Come up with some kind of answer. At least it will show your thinking." On all sides today, people are demanding some kind of answer, any answer to problems. They then wonder why evils are compounded. The family is God's first and basic area of government. It rests on the self-government of the Christian man under God. If we do not have much self-government, we will not have valid government in any area of life, including the state. Again and again, we have seen in history that declining and corrupt civil governments, as they decay, increase in their insistence on omnicompetence. The statists see themselves and their ideas as the solution to all problems. Men find such a view agreeable because they like to believe that they can sin and then eliminate the consequences of sin by a legislative or administrative act. Sin is a moral fact. It is not solved by bureaucratic fiats. We have a crisis in family life. This is a moral fact. We will continue to have a crisis in family life until there is a moral renewal, regeneration among men. Moral facts have moral answers, not bureaucratic ones. This is a requirement and fact of biblical faith.